Welcome back to the TwinSpires Jury. I'm Ashley Anderson here with James Scully and our special guest today, Scott Shapiro, our racing analyst at Churchill Downs. He also provides expert picks at TwinSpires. It's good to have you here today, Scott. How are you doing?
Doing well, Ashley. You guys have been doing a great job with the jury. Good to join you, and really excited for the start of the Keeneland meet. I think all the Keeneland races and during the fall and spring meets are fantastic, but the first two cards of both the spring and the fall meet just stick out as way better than just about any regular day, if you want to call it a regular day card. So excited to dive into it.
All right. And since Darren's not here this week, I wanted to mention a couple of TwinSpires promos over on our app or on twinspires.com, and also remind you of our very first NHC feeder tournament. We have qualifiers on Saturday at Keeneland and on Sunday at Woodbine. And a little bit later in the show, we have a special promo code for the jury viewers today. So be sure to tune in a little bit later. I'll talk about what that promo code is, a 15% boost on win wagers for any of the races we're about to discuss in our best bets and fades of the week, talking all things Keeneland. And I'll let you start things off, Scott. What is your best bet of the week?
Yeah, my best bet comes on Saturday. All three of my discussions will be Saturday at Keeneland. And this is a maiden special weight event for 2-year-olds, 6 furlong affair. And I like a horse with experience in here, number 3, Know Who You Are. This is a son of Union Rags, actually, that debuted at Ellis back in late August and ran into a very well-meant Cherie DeVoe first-time starter in the process. Not only did that one run well, but took a lot of money. So I thought it was noteworthy that this one went off at 5-1. Everything went wrong in terms of trip that day. Was in tight on the backstretch. Got jostled, at the top of the lane, and still only lost by 2 lengths. And trainer Doug Cowan's about as underrated as it gets. He's 26% on the year, very good with 2-year-olds. So I think Know Who You Are at 9-2 makes for a great bet on Saturday.
Yeah, I like it. I think he is actually 29% with maiden special weight races. So very good shot there. James, what do you got?
Well, I'm going to go to Keeneland's race 6, which is the Grade 2 Woodford Stakes. It's a 5.5 furlong turf sprint. We'll have some prospects for the Breeders' Cup turf in there. And I landed on number 6, Olympic Runner. Olympic Runner is a old-timer for a 7-year-old gelding for Mark Casse. He was a Grade 2 winner back in 2021. Came back last year. He just ran twice. Something was amiss with them. I'm throw those races out. Casse brought him back this year, dropped him down in class earlier in the year, and he started turning his form around. 2 starts back at Colonial Downs. I thought he was super impressive, winning an allowance race by open lengths that day at 5.5 furlongs, same distance as the Woodford. And then last time in that turf sprint, that was a 6 furlong race at Kentucky Downs on September 9th. I've been watching Kentucky Downs for years. Never seen that turf course as biased towards speed as it was on that Kentucky Turf Cup day. All the winners were front running. They got to the Kentucky Turf Cup, a 20-1 long shot led wire to wire by 5 lengths. Olympic Runner was 10th turning for home. He came flying on the outside to get beat a half length. I think on any other day, he may have won that at Kentucky Downs. He may have won that race. And this is a field where there's no real standouts in this year's Woodford. We've gotten some Woodfords in the past with Golden Pal and some really talented Grade 1 types on the turf sprinters. None of those runners are in there. The morning line favorite is exiting a 28-1 upset in Europe. I'm not buying Living the Dream at this 5.5 furlong trip. There's plenty of speed entered. I like number 6 Olympic Runner from off the pace, actually.
Yeah, I'll be talking about Living the Dream in our fades of the week. And I'm going to go to race 4 at Keeneland with number 1 Wallachia at 7-2 on the morning line. This is a 4-year-old filly, drew the rail among a field of 12. She failed as the favorite last out when she was a distant second in a 1 1/8 mile stakes at Pimlico. 2 back, she dominated by more than 6 lengths at today's distance at Colonial Downs. She's 2 for 3 from 1 mile and a 16th. And Graham Motion is a 17% winner with beaten favorites. Tyler Gaffleone's picking up the mount. He was the leading rider at Keeneland last meet. So I'm going to give the closer a shot here over the morning line favorite, a Chad Brown runner, Saffron Moon, who has not raced beyond a mile on turf yet. So I'm going with number 1 Wallachia. Kind of
Wow,
hard.
you guys have both picked as your best bets, top pick winner or hopeful top pick winners for me, because I picked them both as TwinSpires customers will see in my expert picks for Saturday.
All right. We got Shap the Capper. out in our picks. All right, well, let's talk about the horses we're not playing at a short price. James, who are you going to be fading this week?
I'm going to turn to race 5 on Saturday. Keeneland, it's an entry-level allowance, optional claimer at 6 furlongs for 2-year-olds. And number 3, Alder, is a 2-to-1 morning line favorite in there. He's a Godolphin homebred, son at Hardspun for Brad Cox. He debuted, well, they were going to debut him on July 15th, and he got all tangled up in the gate. Wound up being a non-starter, and he came back on August 20th and ran and really didn't get out of the gate sharply that day, but just swept past, I thought, a very soft field to win by 6 lengths. The runner-up in that race got a 71 speed rating. The third-place finisher, who came back and got drilled in a maiden claiming race at Churchill Downs, got a 70. I don't think that competition was much. I think he's going to step up to face much tougher in this spot, namely Normandy Hero, Valentine Candy, and Baxley. I like all 3 of those better than Alder, and I will fade him, Scott, in race 5 at Keeneland.
That was bizarre, the race that you referenced where he was tangled up in the gate. Usually you see races where the assistant starter holds on to the horse for too long or so. He literally just got tangled in the gate. Legitimately, I don't know if I've ever seen that before, but yeah, you make good points. He was impressive in that next start, but it hasn't proven to be an overly strong maiden special. In terms of my favorite against or fade, I'm going to get a little risky here. And admittedly, this is based on price, not full confidence this mare won't win. But I'm a little bit concerned about number 3 in Italian in the First Lady Stakes. On numbers, she looks obviously very tough. Her resume is impeccable of late, and she has the speed to control things. But the last couple of races have not been quite as fast as her races towards the tail end of last year and her first race in the Jenny Wiley this year. I really thought she would have finished the deal when she was at her best in the Grade 1 Diana, and she's just going to get hammered once again. I can see people making excuses for the mile and an eighth, or maybe, needing some time off. But to me, in Italian, a little bit iffy here when you take into account that she's probably going to be 3 to 5.
Yeah, I like that fade. I mean, I like playing against horses that I think might not be at the top of their game at real short prices. But what also I think makes it attractive playing against her is I think White Beam is arguably better right now. I think that she ran her down on the fair and square in that Diana, and is coming back and may have her number again in the First Lady on Saturday.
Yeah, it looks like she's a horse, filly White Beam, on the upswing, while there could be chance that in Italian is going the wrong way. And like you said, and I said, just a price dependent favorite against. When she loses, you're going to get quite a bit of separation in the horizontals.
So you going White Beam, Scott, or are you going a different route?
I picked White Beam. That's the problem. And that's why I think in Italian's going to get hammered, is there's nobody other than even White Beam who has the one race to go to that really looks on paper as fast as in Italian. But when these mares or fillies stop being the same, they can get beat by inferior horses. And we kind of saw it in the Diana.
All right, well, I'm going to take it back to the Woodford and talk about that morning line favorite, number 2, Live in the Dream at 3 to 1. This is a 4-year-old gelding who makes his first U.S. start for Adam West. Drew a tough spot on the inside, and he's coming off a 1-length win in the 5 furlong Nunthorpe. He's 4 for 13 at today's distance, but I see a lot of competition here. James, you mentioned Olympic runner. I also like number 8, R Shot at 9 to 2. He's 3 for 6 from the distance, and one is one race at Keeneland previously. Tyler Gaffleone's aboard, and the outside post wanted a high percentage last meet in these race conditions. So I'm looking there. I also thought number 9 Coffee Maker at 12 to 1, a filly from Wesley Ward's barn, has a chance. We just saw Wesley Ward race Playlist in the Franklin Simpson against the boys. She came in second. I think Coffee Maker could hit the board here. So I'll, especially at 12 to 1, take that price. And even Beer Can Man, I think maybe has a shot in this field. What do you think, Scott? Who'd you pick in your expert pick?
I did go with James's long shot Olympic runner in there, but it's a tough one for me on Living the Dream. This is a long shot from the Nunthorpe, like you mentioned, that was 28 to 1 and just broke on top and they're straight away 5 furlongs there, and really just kept going and holding off all rivals. Generally, these horses don't have the same caliber of speed as Americans. Generally, though, we'll see what Living the Dream can do. This was Adam West, just the trainer, as you mentioned, his first group level win overseas, and now he ships a runner over to the States for what I believe might be the first time.
Yeah. He's an interesting story, kind of fun story. He's 34, shares a name with Batman, but yeah, I don't know. He's up against it, I think, with this field. And real quickly, I wanted to mention we talked about a special promo code for jury viewers this week. And if you head to TwinSpires and use the offer code, the jury, all one word in all caps, you'll get 15%, a 15% boost on your first win wager in any of these races we just talked about for our best bets and fades. So use that promo code. And if your horse comes through, you don't have to bet the horse that we have picked, but if your first win wager comes through, you'll get that 15% boost with the jury, all caps, one word. And all right, what else are y'all going to be watching for this weekend? What else you got at Keeneland, Scott?
Well, I'm intrigued by the race 7, which we haven't gotten to yet, and it's the Thoroughbred Club of America Stakes. I don't know if there's any, top of the division type fillies or mares in here, but I'm interested to see if Wicked Halo bounces back. This is a filly that was very good towards the tail end of last year, including a big win in the Raven Run over this course almost a year ago, but she hasn't been the same of late. Really didn't show up at all at 2-5 in the open mind back on September 16th at Churchill. But the fact that she's coming back so quickly leads me to believe that Steve Asmussen kind of either figured out what she needed to do, or maybe, she needed that race. But for him to bring her back so quickly, I wouldn't be so quick to dismiss Wicked Halo, even though I did pick Last Leaf.
I thought she broke poorly too last time off of that freshening, that 2-month. I thought she was in such good form, Wicked Halo, off that runner-up in the Derby City Distaff and then in the Bed of Roses. And then it's like, to me, Steve Asmussen really didn't know what to do with her. He has Echo Zulu, he has Society. He didn't want to run her apparently in those same races as them. He ran her a month later in that stake at Ellis and then gave her 2 months off. That race, like you said, Scott, the quick turnaround, her affinity for Keeneland last year, romping in that Raven Run, makes her pretty formidable in my eyes too. For my what else, Ashley, I'm going to turn to the first off, I want to mention I got my Keeneland shirt on for opening weekend. It can be a little too cool for a polo out there, but wore it on the jury taping. In the Coolmore Turf Mile, $1 million Coolmore Turf Mile, a win in your end for the Breeders' Cup Mile. It's at race number 10. Tomorrow on Saturday. Number 5, Up to the Mark, is coming back for Mike Rapoli, St. Elias Stable, and Todd Pletcher. This 4-year-old colt really was, I thought the first half of the season, his transformation to the turf was really remarkable. He switched surfaces in January, won an allowance at Gulfstream, then won another allowance. He ran third in a really deep edition of the Maker's Mark Mile, his first stakes race. And then he pulled off just these convincing wins in the Old Forester Bourbon Turf Classic on Derby Day and in the Manhattan Stakes in the Belmont Stakes undercard. He had the exact same pattern as Bricks and Mortar back in 2019, coming off a 1 1/8, 1 1/4 wins. They ultimately pursued the 1.5 mile turf. But Bricks and Mortar went on and ran in the Arlington Million and another prep, whereas with the Up to the Mark, he missed like 2 months of training time, had like a slight issue. He's come back and he's put in a bunch of works for Todd Pletcher in preparation for this race. So what they're going to do with Up to the Mark is aim for the Breeders' Cup Mile, it looks like, going to cut him back in trip. And I'm excited to see him. His main rival is Master of the Seas for Appleby. I thought his win in the Woodbine Mile was just okay. Didn't think he beat much in there. And if Up to the Mark's back in form, he's the horse to beat in that race, Scott, in my mind.
Yeah, these are the kinds of races, this group of horses, where I very, very often have real strong opinions. I think Master of the Seas and Up to the Mark are the ones to beat in there. And Set Piece is in great form. He'll appreciate the cutback, but I'm going to use several.
All right, and I'm going to take it over to the Breeders' Futurity race 9 at Keeneland on Saturday. And I wanted to mention we have a first crop sire in Vino Rosso who will be represented by number 1, the Wine Steward, at 8-1. This is an unbeaten 2-year-old from 3 starts and clocked a 97 Brisnet speed figure last out, winning the funny side at 6 furlongs, drew the rail post, which won at a 24% clip last meet, and has Luis Saez aboard, second leading jockey from last meet. Of course, number 9 Locked at 7-5 is the horse everyone's watching out for. had a 105 brisnet speed figure winning at a mile last out, but I think the Wine Steward's an interesting alternative to play here. Don't know what it's going to do first time at a route distance, but certainly bred to enjoy the distance. And wanted to mention too that TwinSpires Edge every year covers a number of first crop sires. Last year we covered Good Magic, who was responsible for Mage winning the 2023 Kentucky Derby. We had Keen Ice 2 years ago, covered him as a first crop sire. And then we had 80-1 Rich Strike in the 2022 Kentucky Derby. So might have a winner this year. I'm covering Vino Rosso, and James, I know you're covering another.
Flame away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Huh. We've got Omaha Beach. We've got about 5 or 6 of them covered, though, like Ashley said. And Vino Rosso, I mean, not only the Wine Steward, Ashley, but he's got a bunch of 2-year-olds in stakes at Santa Anita and elsewhere. He's really starting to come on. We've seen Omaha Beach do well this summer and into the fall. So, those Vino Rossos look like they can run a little bit to me.
Wow, no discussion of the 2 Cox runners. I mean, Timberlake, I think, is the Derby favorite right now.
He's cross-entered to the Champagne though.
That's a good point. I'm not totally on top of it, but either way, Awesome Road, who was awesome. I know it was at Ellis. Some of those, this is a note to everybody having followed the Ellis meet from start to finish. Some of the maiden special weights, like the one James referenced, weren't strong, but take each at its own value, because that was a really good race. The runner-up Stronghold, who battled with Awesome Road and separated from the field, came back to win easily at Churchill Downs. And I think either of the Cox runners merit major respect in here, both in this race and as we move forward as top 2-year-olds into 3-year-olds.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I'm excited for those 2-year-old races. I mean, you're going to see Locked, the gun runner for Pletcher in that Breeders' Futurity. He's got to overcome an outside post, and he's got Fierceness in the Champagne. It was another big open length winner, but definitely got some quality rivals, it looks like, on paper. And I thought the Hopeful was a little underwhelming. So excited to see some big time performances in these 2-year-old male stakes this weekend, Scott and Ashley.
Yeah, these are the best. These are really, really good races. Sometimes they come up full fields, but without the top tier. But I think both the
American Pharoah, the Champagne, and the Breeders' Futurity.
Yeah, the Breeders' Futurity, but as well as the filly race on the Alcibiades. Yeah, both of them are really serious top contenders. My bad for spacing the name there.
Alcibiades has the second and third choice potentially in the juvenile fillies. Vivi's Dream and Brightwork, of course. Got Tamara out west waiting in the wings for him, but both fillies are just so super, coming off superb wins. That'll be a great race. He'll just got the Spinster on Sunday as well at Keeneland. I'll mention it's going to be a great opening weekend.
Agree.
And thanks, Scott, for joining us again this week on the Jury. And be sure to check out his expert picks at TwinSpires this weekend for Keeneland. And also remember that promo code, the Jury, all one word, all caps, for that 15% boost on our win wagers on the best bets and fades. We'll be back next week for more best bets and fades of the weekend, and we'll see you next time.